scratches, the nicks, the dimples, the cuts, the color. Look at all the attention on your finger, looking at nothing else, focusing on your finger. Try to see the color green in your mind. While only looking at your finger, focusing on nothing else but your finger, try to see the color green in your mind. Can't do it. Your mind does not have picture-in-picture. Your mind does not have a split screen. Go ahead and pick your fingers down. I know you overachievers all day. I know I can do it, I know it. If I try hard enough, I know I can do it. The reality is this. Your mind has the ability to focus on one thing at a time. And when it does, it rapidly expands on whatever it's focusing on. James Allen, in his epic book, As a Man Thinketh, said, let a man or a woman radically alter his thoughts, and they'll be astonished at the rapid transformation of the material conditions of their life. They'll be astonished because thoughts cannot be kept secret. They rapidly crystallize in habit, and habit solidifies into circumstance. So before we go into the emotional fingerprint, I want to cover what I call the 5 stages of belief. Up here on the board right here. What does a Nintendo Wii, elephants, hummingbirds, an alcoholic, the Brooklyn Bridge, the University of Texas have to do with success? They're all tied to the 5 stages of belief. The first stage is impossible. So think about, we're going to go in a ladder format here. No matter, you take a child, how many of us have 4-year-olds or have nephews or nieces or 4-year-olds? If you're tying your shoes, they're astonished that you can do it. They're like blown away. How do you do that? In their mind, it's impossible. My son, when he was about 5 or 6 years old, I was in the kitchen doing some dishes. I saw him playing with the Nintendo Wii. So if you're not familiar with Nintendo Wii, it's like any other video game console. You have these joysticks that you have in your hand, and as you move it, it reads off the sensor. He had 2 joysticks in his hand, and he's playing tennis. So he was playing the right side and the left side of the tennis. Okay? After about 20 minutes, he got so mad, he's like, I quit, I just give up, I can never win, I can never win. I'm sitting there doing the dishes thing, there's my gene pool right there. Like, that's my DNA right there, there's that kid, that's all mine. And I said, sweetie, you're playing both sides. So you're both winning and losing simultaneously. No, I know I can do it. I just try harder, I can do it. I said, hey, please go right ahead, let's see how that happens for you. So he keeps doing it. Like 10 minutes later, he throws him on the ground. I give up, I can never win, and storms out of the room. I thought, how many of us are doing that right now in our lives? Like, as adults, I don't care who you are, you're still a 3-year-old, you're just taller. That's all you are. We all have those emotions where we think we're right and we think everyone else is wrong, we go with tantrums. It's just because we just got taller, not more mature, more developed. So in the first stage, when we find that something is impossible, we believe it is impossible, regardless if it's not impossible. So you take elephants. This is how they capture and they train elephants for the zoo and the circuses. They'll take a baby elephant, they'll put a chain around it and tie it to a tree. It'll learn not to walk more than a 3-foot or 6-foot radius, depending on how far that chain is from the tree. But when they want to take that elephant on the road, they'll take a rope, tie it to its ankle, and put a stake in the ground. In its mind, it thinks it's a chain, even though this 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 pound elephant can break that rope like that. It thinks it's impossible, therefore it doesn't move. It gives up, it doesn't try, and it stops. Now, if I were to describe to you a hummingbird, without you knowing the statistics of a hummingbird, you would say it was impossible. So let's read off some statistics. It weighs less than a nickel. We've all had change in our pocket, right? A hummingbird weighs less than a nickel. Its wings flap at 200 times a second. Heart beats 1,200 times a minute. It takes 250 breaths per minute. Can fly at 30 miles per hour and dive at 60 miles an hour. It can fly across the Gulf of Mexico nonstop, which is 500 miles. And then my favorite thing is it's a very aggressive bird. It will fight crows and hawks. I mean, we're talking a nickel. Have you ever seen a hawk? They pick up rabbits. This thing's a nickel. And it will chase them and fight them. The best part, it's the only bird that can fly backwards and hover. Now, if you had never seen one, and I described to you what a hummingbird was, you'd say, that's impossible. You can't fly backwards. Birds can't fly backwards. I've seen them, they all fly forward. And if I say, yeah, this nickel's going to take on a 10-pound hawk, no, that's impossible. That can't happen either. So how many of our elephants who think everything's impossible, and how many of us are hummingbirds where nothing's impossible? And that's where we go into deeper day. So the second stage is improbable. Now this is where we start to have a little bit of hope. Maybe other people can do it, but I can't do it. This is where, as a child, maybe you were labeled. Someone told you were stupid. Someone told you were an idiot. I mean, Ron is by far the most inspirational man. I've told this to you. I'm happy to have it on record. You are by far the most inspirational man I've ever met. And probably the most inspirational man I've ever read about. And I've read over 1,000 biographies. His story is these 5 stages. That's why I want to prepare this today for you. So you've already seen the first stage of impossible, his life. And we go through these 5 stages. This is his life to a T. But it's the life of a champion. If you want to be a champion, if you want to be excellent, it's these 5 stages. You can't go any way except up through these individual 5 stages. So the second stage is important because it's improbable. We're finally graduating from impossible. Now we think, this might be a possibility. It might work for other people. But this is also where we see a lot of labeling come in from your childhood. So this gentleman right here, we'll call him Bill, because that's his real name. He was defined as a loser, a failure, a drunk, good for nothing his whole life. And he had the statistics to prove it. He was so drunk that he didn't graduate from college when he should have. He was too drunk to pick up his diploma. So then he took the LSAT and he wanted to become an attorney. And he was so drunk he didn't pick up the diploma there. So he didn't graduate as an attorney. So his wife finally said, the only thing you can do is play sales. So he went into sales. But if you've been on sales, you can travel the country, you get very lonely. So he'd find solace in a bottle at a bar. Then one day he thought, you know what? I can't keep doing this. He went in and out of about 4 or 5 different rehabs. Then one time he was hospitalized for what was diagnosed as called a wet brain. That literally his brain was physically, chemically turning to mush because of all the alcohol. Sat there in that hospital room, begged and pleaded with God and said, if there's a God, if my life doesn't have any meaning, save me now, otherwise I'm dead. And his biography, he talks about how light came into his room, filled his bosom, just like our dear friends talking about here, about finding God, just that power within him. And he decided he'd never take another drink. Now, he's made that decision many, many times before. But what he did this time was completely different. When he would travel, he'd call up churches and say, do you have anybody in your congregation who struggles with alcoholism? I want to meet with them. I'm lonely. I'm tired. I've been on the road. But if I'm going to be alone in this hotel room, I know I will drink. So please, have them call me. I want to meet with them. So I met this guy named Bob Smith. Together, they kept building this relationship year after year. They started inviting other men and other women into their organization. And over a lifetime, they built Alcoholics Anonymous. Which I love about this new brand and new label. Time Magazine selected them as one of the top 20. Imagine that. Top 20. Of all the people you choose in the world, top 20 of the Time 100 heroes and icons who exemplified courage, selflessness, exuberance, superhuman ability, and amazing grace for the 20th century. For all the people who lived in the 20th century, in 2000, they picked these 2 of the top 20. They were failures, drunks, alcoholics. It was improbable for him to become anything in his life. AA has done more good for the human race than any other organization to help alcoholics, drug addicts, pornography addicts, you name it, they've done more. And the best part about it, this is my favorite part, you cannot be anything but a drunk to run an AA meeting. You can't have a PhD, you can't be a doctor, you have got to be a drunk to run the AA meetings. Like, that is awesome. Like, that's, if I owned a company, that's what I would do. Like, I love that. It's like, stick it to the man, screw you. But if you're a drunk, you can run our company. That's the way they do it. So they went from impossible to improbable. Like, yeah, there's probably a chance here. Then we go up to the third stage, which is possible. This is where optimism really comes in. This is where hope, faith, this is where we really think anything's possible in our lives. You look at just some of these pictures right here. Flight, the Wright brothers. Henry Ford. Space travel, Elon Musk. These are things where people thought anything and everything is possible. And they acted accordingly. They changed history. Changed history. Not governments, not education or corporations, individuals who believed something was more possible than their fear, their anger, their frustration. That's what made it possible. That's stage 3. Then we gravitate to stage 4, which is real life. It's really fun, to probable. So how many of you guys been to New York, the Brooklyn Bridge? You want to see the Brooklyn Bridge? Beautiful, amazing. Let me tell you the story about Brooklyn Bridge. You've got John and Washington Roebling, father and son. Washington Roebling was the son, and he was an engineer. And John, the father, had this great concoction, this great insane idea. Said, hey, let's connect Brooklyn to Manhattan via bridge. Never been done. A bridge had never been expanded that far. Everyone, experts, it's impossible. It cannot be done. There's no way human feet can be done on that scale and that large a level. So they went out and they raised a little money. Started on one of the towers. This first tower right here. 3 to 4 months in, the tower fell, crushed and killed John Roebling, and put Washington Roebling into a coma. When he came out of his coma, the only thing he could move was his eyes and his finger. For the next 13 years, he tapped on his wife's forearm instructions for the engineers to build the Brooklyn Bridge. 13 years, every day. They'd come in, they'd show them the new designs, they'd tap out the instructions. Come back the next day, tap them out. 13 years. That's where it's improbable. That's where it is, that's where it's probable, where almost anything is possible. But that takes us to the next level. This is the most important one, which is inevitable. Stage 5 is inevitable. So you've heard Ron speak. Do you think it's inevitable for him to be successful? Yes. Okay, why? There's no right or wrong. I want to hear your opinions. Why?
Because
he is successful. He is. Exactly. Why else?
Because it's believable.
He's eliminated all doubt. That wall, he's crushed it. He's gone over it. He's gone around it. He tore it apart. Because in his mind, it was inevitable for him. I don't know if you told this story. It's one of my favorite stories about you. Where after you had won Mr. Universe and Mr. World, you went back to the gym that night. When everyone else was taking time off to go have the pizza and the beer and enjoy the sacrifice, you went back that night, correct? That's not crazy. You've got to be off your rocker. Let's be honest. But that's what a champion does. They're off their rocker. They're a little left of reality because they live in this world of inevitability. That anything and everything is possible. That nothing is going to stop them. Where most average people live in impossible, in improbable, and sometimes possible. This first and second stage are where most people live. Champions, entrepreneurs, live at the tail end of the belief system, which is probable or inevitable. So a dear friend of mine, Fran Harris, told me this story. It was one of the most inspiring stories about how to get to that inevitable stage. 1986 basketball team at the University of Texas. She was her senior year. She was captain of the team. The 3 previous years, they'd gone to the NCAA and lost to Kentucky every single time. So here it is, the last year. She sat in the locker room with her teammates, licking her wounds, and said, guys, not again. No way. There's no way we're going to go that far and lose again. So what are you going to do about it? What's your inevitability? What are you going to do to make it happen? So they all sat around and took an accountability of what each person was going to do. Meaning how many free throw shots, how many dunks, how many three-point shots, how many rebounds. And they would not get off the court until they got those, even if the coach called them out. They wouldn't get off the court. Like, no, I haven't got my numbers, I'm not leaving. So they fought for it. And as she tells the best story ever, she tells it in her beautiful southern accent. When they went 1-0, 5-0, 7-0, 14-0, 16-0, and played Kentucky, she said, we beat them like they stole something. Then they went 35-0, first time in NCAA history in men or women's any collegiate sport to dominate and take the entire year season. And since then, University of Texas, no one has done it. No one has taken the NCAA championship, let alone dominated it, went undefeated. Because in her mind, it was inevitable. They would not stop. So you have to ask yourself, in your life right now, what is inevitable? Is failure inevitable? Or is success inevitable? And only you know that answer. Because we all have these demons and all have these angels in our head. Even with cartoons growing up with little angels and demons on the side, I think it's a very real thing. It's your subconscious and conscious battling with itself. We all have it. But when do we start listening to the right voice that makes things inevitable? So quick recap. You want to take a picture with your phone, feel free to take a picture. Stage 1 is impossible. Stage 2 is improbable, possible, probable, and inevitable. Here's an interesting thing as you guys are taking pictures of this. It actually slides the other way. There are times, if you've ever been in your midlife crisis, and I'm in mine right now, it's hysterical. It's a total mess. I'll be honest, I'm a hot mess right now. I'll say all know, like I'm a total mess. I might like cool and collective up here, but inside I'm a mess. In your life, you start to slide the other way when you haven't created the life you wanted. So as I've been going through this midlife crisis, I've been asking myself, what's the definition? So I'm going to have massive OCD, so I get ideas in my head and I don't sleep until I figure them out. And I realize this. A midlife crisis is nothing more than having expectations your entire life, waking up one day and realizing those expectations didn't come true. So whether it be at 50, it could be at 40, it could be at 30, whatever stage you're at, you realize that all those things you wanted didn't come to pass. So then you go from inevitable, like, oh, maybe just probable, maybe sometimes I make it happen, to, some things are possible, some things are not. You slide back down to improbable, and then you get to impossible. How many times have you met people in their 60s and 70s who believe everything's impossible? Well, they didn't live their whole life that way, I guarantee you, because they would have died at 40. But they got some success, some things were inevitable, and then they lost that belief, and they started sliding back the other way. So it is a ladder. You can go up it, or you can go down it. So you got to be very conscious of how you protect it. One of my favorite quotes. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they become inevitable. So you look at Richard, or other successful people you have in your organization, and if you were to look at his 12-year-old self, and say, yeah, you're going to be one of the top income earners of Renatus, making multiple six figures every year, that 12-year-old self would say, that's impossible. I'm barely passing English class. I can't even say it. I dropped out of high school, I apologize. It's the education, or lack thereof. English class. He would have said it was impossible. But when you start to summon the will, and you start taking the actions, then you start to get results. So how do you get to those different stages of belief? I call it the seed. You got to plant seeds. S is for sampling. The reason why I have read 1,000 biographies and I've interviewed over 2,500 people, my website has interviewed tens of thousands of people, is because I believe in sampling. I love to go to Costco and eat for free. I want to know, I want to taste it, I want to know if it's good before I buy it. So when you think about if you want to get to that next level, you read a biography, you watch a documentary, you see a movie that's inspiring, you hear a talk by someone who's inspiring, and you think, could I do that? Could I graduate from improbable to probable? Well, the first key is you have to experiment on it. You got to test it. You're never going to know. You have to test it. The reason Bob, the founder, how many of you guys are not part of Renatus? Anyone not part of Renatus? Okay, fantastic. So inside the organization, they have fantastic training. One of them is a thing called Money Matrix that Bob, the owner, asked me to put together, where we do 3-minute videos that are inspiring every single day, so you can sample other people's successes. These are videos from Henry Ford, Walt Disney, Mother Teresa, Rosa Parks. People who accomplish incredible things and tying that principle back to success. So sampling the Money Matrix videos, you guys who are members have that for free. It's on your back office, you can watch it all the time. Then you got to experiment on it, test it. Then the most important, this is where most people make a mistake, you have to examine it, review it. So how many of you have ever gone target shooting? I got a dear friend in the back table here who's spent his pet's college fund at the Armory, so you won't go by his name Richard, but he is shooting. So if you go to a target range and you take 5 shots, you have to examine whether or not those 5 shots were grouped together or all over the map. So when I wanted to get into target shooting, I hired a coach to teach me how to shoot, and how to breathe, and how to pull trigger, and how to set my sights. He said, okay, wait, take 5 shots. I'm like, no, I want to take 50 shots. I'm going to take 5, hold the target in. If you group them in one area, you're spot on. Your sights on your gun are off. Move those sights, and you're right at the target. But if you're all over the place, then your breathing's wrong, your sights are wrong, your target, everything's wrong. So until you get to a certain grouping, then only then can you adjust your sights. So in business, you have to take a bunch of shots. You got to try it. Did the phone calls work? Did the emails work? Did the home show work? You got to take a bunch of shots, then bring it in and examine it. And this is the last part, where most people fail. You have to decide, was that worthy or was it not? So just like a tree, you got to plant a seed. That tree, if planted, you plant a seed of an orange, it will produce oranges. It will not produce avocados no matter what. So if you plant these seeds of success, sampling it, experimenting on it, examining it, and then deciding whether or not that was the seed you wanted, you will get the results you want to have. And that's how you go from impossible to inevitable. So I do read a lot of biographies and a lot of books. I came across a book by William James, father of American psychology, and he talked about his depression in his early 20s. His father was a very successful physician. His brother was very successful as well. And he was totally depressed. So he thought he'd take his own life. And before he did, he thought, you know what? What if, just for the heck of it, what if, for 1 year I went all out, all the time. And I never backed down from anything. Like I went crazy all out. Because I'm going to take my life anyways. I got nothing to lose. And then he thought, at the end of that year, I'll test it. And if it doesn't work, then I'll take my life. Well, at the end of the year, he decided, before the end of the year, he decided to write a book. That book got a little traction. And he thought, well, I'll give it 1 more year. He has been identified as the father of American psychology. His life, because he kept his life, changed the lives of millions of people for generations to come. So I put together this, and this is his simple quote. He said, anything, everything's possible. So I put these stickers together for you, pass them around, so that you will know and believe anything and everything is possible. But you have to make the decision. You have to decide how you define your life changes everything. Because nobody will define your life for you. They will broadcast your life on you. But they cannot decide what your life is. Only you can do that. And we do it by listening to the voices. Depending on if it's our internal voice, the external voice outside of our head, people, friends, family, school teachers. You ever been told by your school teacher you're an idiot? Yeah, I was told by my first grade teacher that I couldn't read, so I decided, she's right. So I didn't learn to read until I was 19 years old. I've since written 13, 14 books now, and my first book I dedicated to Miss Dee Dee. That's revenge is good success. I'm going to call it what it is. So, if you want your revenge, be successful. I don't mean that in an external way. Let me tell you a fun story about an individual who decided on his life and how it changed the projection of his life. A young couple was traveling from Kentucky to Tennessee. Got off to a little diner. I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience. You're just eating your food, and you see someone go from table to table, talking, shaking hands. You're sitting there eating your eggs and hash browns. Like, just don't come talk to me. Please don't come talk to me. Well, this gray-haired gentleman comes up and talks to this young couple. Says, who are you? Where are you from? What are you doing? Where are you guys just traveling to? And so, I'm a professor of religion. He goes, oh, so you teach preachers how to preach? I've got a story for you. Pulls up a chair and sits down. This young couple's just rolling their eyes. Like, are you kidding me? Like, honestly, we just want to leave. We got to get on the road. And you see, if you look out those windows right there, you'll see those beautiful Tennessee hills. At the base of those hills was a bastard son. A son who didn't know who his father was. And everybody in the town made sure he knew it. No matter if he was on the playground, no matter if he was at the grocery store, everybody asked him, boy, who's your daddy? Hey, boy, who's your daddy? To the point where he got so subconscious that he would hide behind the portal to eat his lunch. When his mom would send him to the market to get food, he would just put his head down, shoulders in. We've all seen that body language like this. Just kind of walking like this, and all the old kid codgers, boy, hey boy, who's your daddy? Then one day at church, a new young preacher was in town. And this boy's routine was to skip out before the closing song and the closing prayer. And some, young kids are, he got distracted. All of a sudden the song was over, prayer was done, and he's stuck in the congregation trying to get out. This young preacher's at the back door, shaking hands, welcoming everybody out, thank you for coming to church, nice to see you, who are you? He gets this young boy, shakes his hand, looks around, doesn't see any parents, says, boy, who's your daddy? At that point, the entire congregation goes quiet. We all know you can't lie to a preacher. So they go, we're going to find out now. Is it Jim? Is it Tom? Who's the guy in the neighborhood? It's got to be one of us. Who's the daddy? We're going to find out. Once again, the boy's body language. Shoulders in, head down. This intuitive young preacher could just see all eyes were on him. Shaking his hand, put his hand on his shoulder, says, I see the resemblance. You're a son of God. Go claim your inheritance. Slaps him on the back and sends him on his way. At that moment, this gray-haired man got up, slid his chair on me, started to walk away, and turned around and said, you know what? Had that young preacher never told me I was the son of God, I never would have amounted to anything. And walks out the door. This young couple's just dumbfounded. Like, are you kidding me? What an amazing story. They flagged down the waitress and say, ma'am, the beautiful, distinguished gray-haired gentleman, who is he? Do you know who he is? She just laughed. She goes, everyone knows who that is. That's Ben Hooper. He's the governor of Tennessee. The very second that we label ourselves, the very second that we identify who we are, changes everything. So what I'm going to help you with today is something called your emotional fingerprint. It identifies who you really are, and then I'm going to show you how to control it from the inside versus the outside, where the world has control. So you have this little paperwork in front of you. I found that everybody has 7 key characteristics that make them feel important. Now, this is not about being more important than somebody else. So your family can be important to you. Your family may not make you feel important. It's not mean you're a bad individual. I'm talking about that emotion where you feel on top of the world. I'm talking about an emotional state where you feel incredible, connected, on point, centered. That is an emotion where you feel on top of the world. That's defined as a feeling of importance. So as you look at these boxes, you have one on the front page and 6 more boxes on the following page. You're going to only select one feeling inside that box. So just grab a pen and check it off. So on the first one, like this. So just to answer this question, I feel important when I am in control, confident with my appearance, organized, connected to God's Spirit and universe, or being trusted. Select just one of those. Do not overanalyze it. Go with your gut instinct. Your gut will always be right. Once again, it's not about what's important to you. It's about when you feel on top of the world, when you feel connected, when you feel centered. You're in the right place at the right time. That's a feeling of importance. So just select one of those. Flip the page over and do it 6 more times. It'll take about 5-10 minutes. If you ever get stuck between 2 of them, ask yourself, what is the one I could not live without? And as we go through the process, if you want to go back and change something, you can. This is your experience, not mine. So for those of you who are watching at home, you can go to nomortherapy.com, nomortherapy.com, and do this exercise online. It's the exact same exercise that we're doing here. So if you're at home watching, or you're watching this after on recording, go to nomortherapy.com. Alright, so let's keep playing along. Now the rest of this is all going to be interactive. This is about you guys. This is not my experience. This is all about you. So we're going to have a lot of crowd participation. I need you to raise your hand. I need you to participate so that you can experience it on a deeper level, but also so other people can experience it through you. So who's had an experience recently where they really felt on top of the world? Once again, bad days and good days flow like this. We have those peak moments where you feel absolutely incredible. Okay, go ahead. Would you stand up and share with us that experience? And then I'm going to have you read off, Doug, your 7 eyes. And then we'll just count and play along and see how many eyes are being met. So,
recently, my daughter is going to get married. She's going to get married a month from, actually, 2 days ago. And I decided for a gift to her, I was going to sing a song called I Loved Her First, which is, I don't know if you've ever heard, it's pretty emotional. So I'll get through it. I had no experience with performing experience with this. And so I decided to go and do that. And so in the process of learning that, I hired her, my daughter's teacher. My daughter's amazing. And I'm learning this, and I found out that I can sing, and I can enjoy it. So I find myself just breaking out in song at times, singing things that I really love and enjoy. And I've discovered that when I take that, and I'm feeling rough, beaten up, down, I go over into the corner somewhere, turn on the music, and I just start to sing, and I feel at the top of the world. And that's a completely new discovery for me.
Beautiful. Okay, so read off your 7 eyes. And what we're going to do is we're all going to play along. I'm just going to count and see how many of those eyes are being met in that moment. What we're looking for is a pattern here. I believe in patterns. I believe that things show up one time, they'll show up a second time. So read your first one.
The first one I selected trusted.
So are you feeling trust when you're trusting yourself? And I'm going to be role-playing with you guys, so if I'm wrong, correct me. Say, what do you think doesn't apply to me? So did you feel trusted, trusting your voice, trusting who you are?
Yes, I couldn't even open up my mouth for the voice teacher the first day. It was very rough.
Second one.
Second one I provided.
And are you providing an experience for your daughter at the wedding?
Oh, yes.
Obviously. Third one.
Third one was receiving praise.
So have you praised yourself in your ability to sing?
Oh, yes.
Okay, perfect. Fourth.
Fourth was receiving recognition.
Same thing as the other one, yeah.
Next was power of influence.
Are you having a power of influence on yourself, learning how to sing, as well as that night when you go and you sing in the wedding?
Yes, I feel like I'm doing something that's going to be extremely meaningful for her, and at the same time, I'm getting this excitement about it.
Perfect. All right, 6.
Well, let's see, I didn't even get that far, I just got the paper. That would be reaching a goal.
Okay, so obviously, yep.
Yeah.
7.
7 would be experiencing life comes to mind.
Okay, perfect. So in that moment, you're absolutely experiencing life. You're seeing your daughter get married. You're seeing, you're participating. So all 7 eyes are being met, correct?
Yes.
Beautiful. Thanks, Doug. Have a seat. So in the essence of time, what I want you to do right now is I want you to think of an experience yourself. Okay? Time where you really felt on top of the world. Good days and bad days like this. I'm talking a peak moment where you felt incredible. Think about it very clearly. The more recent, the better, because there's more details. Then I want you to look at your 7 eyes, and I want to see how many eyes are being met, and I want you to shoot out those numbers. So just start saying 5, 7, 6, 1, whatever it is. Think of that experience yourself. Look at your emotional fingerprint, these 7 things that make you feel important. Count how many are being met, and then shoot out the numbers to us. 7, 6, 7, 4, 5, 7. Okay, here's the cool thing. Notice it was always more than 2. Right? Everyone in the room agrees more than 2. Now let's reverse it. Go to a time where you feel down, depressed, frustrated, exhausted, the way the world's on your shoulders. I won't call on you for this one, but we all have that experience. That moment where you feel like, man, I can't breathe anymore. I can't stand my life anymore. Then look at your 7 eyes. Count how many are being offended, meaning not being met, and then shout out those numbers.
5.
5.
1.
5. So for those of you who said 1, what I'm talking about is where you felt those eyes were being offended, they were not being met. So how many were not being met? 7? 6? 6. Okay. Notice it's also more than 2. So if you look at your worksheet, on the right-hand side of your worksheet, on page 2, it'll have principles 1 and principle 2. Actually, it has all 5 principles, but look at just principle 1 and 2. It'll state, when 2 or more of your eyes are being met, your mood will improve. When 2 or more of your eyes are being offended, your mood will worsen. So we believe in natural laws in the universe. You think about ice is really cold because it's 32 degrees, but it's water at 33. That 1 degree difference turns it to ice. It's hot at 211, but turns to steam at 212. I mean, it's a play with a Rubik's Cube. Do you know there's 43 gazillion, that's 18 zeros, 43 gazillion combinations. There's 7 algorithms that will solve it. That's why people can do it blindfold. You don't even have to look at it, and you can do it. Because if you follow those 7 algorithms, it'll always turn out perfect. They put it into a Lego mind map machine, and the Lego machine did it. Kids as young as 4 can do it, because as soon as you know those 7 algorithms, everything changes. Our emotions are no different. Our highs and our lows, our ups and our downs are tied to principle 1 and 2. So every time 2 or more eyes are being met, your mood will improve. Systematically, every single time. When your eyes are being offended, you feel down, depressed, frustrated, exhausted, and overwhelmed. Now this is a huge breakthrough in science. It's a huge breakthrough in drive and ambition, because if you want to change your life, all you got to do is go get 2 or more eyes met. So you think of your best friend. Think of your best friend, that person, when you see their name on the caller ID, you cannot wait to pick up. Look at that in your mind, look at your 7 eyes, and shout out some numbers. How many eyes are being met? How many eyes does your best friend meet? 4. 4 or 5? So we saw 2 or more, correct? Now think of that person you cannot stand. Don't say their name out loud when you kiss the over. Now think of that person that you hate, you despise, it drives you crazy, makes your skin crawl. How many eyes do they offend? All of them? 7? Throw out some numbers. 5, 7? Yep. So we look at principle 1 and 2. This is your emotional elevator. It's what takes you up and what takes you down. You think about an elevator, you push 7 buttons, all eyes be met, it's the penthouse suite. Best view on the land. You love it. But if you get 7 eyes being offended, it's dark, it's damp, it's the parking garage, you can't find your car, you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed, and this is what drives us. So when you give up in life, when you quit in life, when you slide back down that ladder of belief, it's because your eyes are being offended. We've all quit, that's a human experience. You all quit something at some time in your life. The reason why is your eyes are being offended. The reason why you're driven, the passion. So when Ron is winning at a young age, his eyes are getting met. He's getting a little bit of success, he loves it. When he got second place, he hated it, so that drive made him push harder. So when we have success in business, our eyes are getting met, but if we have a lull, a 3-month, 4-month lull, we want to quit and give up. Why do we give up that belief that it's inevitable? When we did it once, we can do it twice, just simply because our eyes are being offended. Let's go to principle 3. Subconsciously or consciously, you'll do anything within your belief system to defend and support your eyes. This is the most important principle we're going to talk about today. This is the drive. You'll do anything within your belief system to defend and support your eyes. So when you're at home alone, or you're in the shower by yourself, or in a car driving, just have some time to meditate, ask yourself, what do you think about? When you have nothing to think about, what do you think about? Now look at your 7 eyes. Are they those 7 eyes? In some form or another. When we have nothing to think about, subconsciously or consciously, we are thinking about how do we get our eyes met. Your hopes, your goals, your dreams, your ambition, everything you want in this life is somehow, some way, is tied to your emotional fingerprint. So who's got an ambitious goal? Who wants to achieve something great? Asian people stand for. Were you just scratching your neck? Where Mike go? Do I give a mic still?
No, I give it back to Vanessa.
We have Mike. Who's got an ambitious goal? Who wants to achieve something? Okay, you speak. Right there in the back. You're up. We'll go right there in the back.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me your ambitious goal.
So I have a book that I wrote, and I want to get it published and finish the next 4 that I have planned out.
Fantastic. So read your eyes off, if you will.
Organization.
Okay, so do you feel organized when you write?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have to have a plan.
Exactly. So what's your book about?
It's about a girl who finds out that she's from a different realm and she needs to figure out how to get back there.
Perfect. Okay. Second eye.
Relationships.
In the book, is there about relationships with this girl in the realm and how she gets back and what she
Yes.
needs? Yeah. What else?
Knowledge.
Yep.
Creativity.
Yep.
Solving problems.
So does she solve problems as the lead character?
Yeah.
Yep. Next.
Goals.
Yep.
And service.
Yes. So all 7 of her eyes are actually written into that character. As well as that book would be all 7 of her eyes. Does that make sense? So I used to live in California for 10 years. Go ahead and have a seat, thank you. And I would work in Hollywood and deal with writers and directors and people who would use the emotional fingerprint as part of their screenwriting ability, because if they knew the character's eyes, their emotional fingerprint, they knew exactly what that character would do in every set of circumstances in any given situation. In your own life, it's the exact same way. So if you find that you procrastinate on something, how many of us are procrastinators on certain things, okay? Look at your eyes. You have what are called conflicting eyes. So I have a providing eye, and I have a free and independent eye. So I want to be free and independent, goof off, but I want to go provide and have, income. So I procrastinate when one of these eyes is not in alignment with the other one. So when you look at your eyes, you probably have a validation, acceptance, or recognition eye. And so therefore, they automatically, inadvertently are fitting your other eyes, and you're not getting the results you want to have. So through our coaching and strategy sessions, we talk about how to align your eyes for success. So Ron, if you would, read your 7 eyes. You got a mic up front?
Okay. My 7 eyes are, and what I did was I wrote the numbers
Okay.
on each one. So group 1 is number 4, which is
So just read them off, and it doesn't matter the order.
connected to God, spirit, illuminated.
So I'm going to interrupt you as he goes. Did he ever, during his speech, talk about God?
Yes.
Countless times. Yes. Next one.
Next one is 5, which is in a loving relationship. Giving respect.
So did he talk about respect, about the love that he now has for his father and his mother and his wife, Tanya? Correct.
The next one would be receiving praise.
He's talked about he's the man, right? He praises himself. He is the man. Okay?
Being creative.
Being creative. He's written books. He's made art machines. He's done infomercials. He's done tons of businesses that are creative. Yes, creative.
Achieving my life's purpose.
Like 7 times over for Mr. World, Mr. Universe. Yes, he's done that.
Reaching my goals.
Absolutely, he's done that.
Winning.
You can't escape your emotional fingerprint. Here's the best part about it. When you know that, no longer do you have to fumble and say, why am I not getting the results I want? I'll tell you why. You're not getting your eyes met. So when your eyes are in alignment, you feel successful, you feel loved, you feel on top of the world. When your life is out of alignment, your eyes are not being met, you feel the complete opposite. So I've been married 20 years, I got 3 kids, my family's my entire guinea pig, my experiment lab. Like I do tricks on them all the time, I do stuff trying to figure things out. So years back, I turned to my wife, I said, why do I love you? Like, I know I love you, but I can't quantify it, I can't scratch it, sniff it, smell it, measure it, I can't figure it out. What is love, what is it? So after about 3 weeks of this, she said, fine, get your cards. And so what you have right here, the emotional fingerprint, I have the card system. And I laid out my 7 eyes and she said, okay, when I meet your eyes, you love me. When I offend your eyes, you hate me. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, that's love finally. Like I quantified love. When you guys feel love, think of that one person. Like when you genuinely feel loved, when you feel that emotional connection to someone, now look at your 7 eyes. How many are they hitting? It's going to be about 5 seconds. That is what love is. You want to know why you'll get divorced? You want to know why you'll leave your relationship? You want to know why you'll cheat? Is when those eyes aren't being met. Because of principle 3. Subconsciously or consciously, you'll do anything within your belief system to defend or support your eyes. So, with Ron, his father, the shift his father had from being a killer to being someone who he loves and Tanya loves and respects, is the shift from external to internal. So I'll show you how to do that. Flip over that last page. It's the graph. Let's pull that up. Just go see here. Y'all see that? This graph right here. Your eyes are neutral by nature. Nobody has a good or bad emotional fingerprint. So Hitler and Mother Teresa, they both have an emotional fingerprint. How they seek to validate it is what makes it good or bad. And by the way, they're both extremists. What you don't know, what most people don't know about Mother Teresa, When she was 18 years old, she left her mother and her sisters to never see them again, to go out and serve the world, to go volunteer for the ladies of Calcutta. Never saw them again. That's an extreme thing to do. When she got kicked out of the ladies of Calcutta, she then just started teaching people on India, just like literally on the floor, on the street. That's also a very extreme thing to do. But she was doing it internally from the inside out versus externally the way that Hitler was doing it. So no one has a good or bad emotional fingerprint. So when you go home, you share this with a loved one, or if you're sitting next to your loved one, don't look at their eyes and say, oh, now I know why you're a jerk. Right there. You got one of those bad eyes. Doesn't work that way. Okay? So on the external side, anytime we look outside of ourselves, to other people, places, or things, those are the emotions we feel. So again, I'm going to use you as an example. Can we have the mic again? Because you asked Ron a question and I want to address it and show you how to change it. So some of you raise your hand about success, that you feel that people judge you because of your success. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and read your eyes off. And we're going to see why. Now look at the internal and the external. I'm going to make you guys relationship ninjas right now. You're going to look at this and look at the negative and the positive. The negative is anytime you're looking outside yourself and you're comparing yourself. So external is comparison. Internal is knowledge. You have a knowledge of something. Ron can stand up here and say, I'm the man, because it's a knowledge. It's not an ego thing. And he isn't saying it for an ego thing. He has a knowledge that in his life, the goals that he achieved, he's the man. Tanya can stand up and say the same thing as she's the woman, because in her life, she's accomplished the goals she's wanted to. Richard can say the same thing. That is not an external thing if it's a knowledge base. But if you start wearing a shirt that says, I'm the man and you're not, that is external. See the difference? It's the comparison. So we're going to look at your life, if we could, for a second, and see if you are being external by comparing your life to other people. So your first eye.
In control.
Okay, so when people judge you, I'm going to role play with you, Dan. Tell me if I'm wrong. You don't feel in control.
Right.
Correct. Next.
In the moment.
Also, when people judge you, you don't feel you're in the moment because you're thinking, I can't make anyone happy. I can't do what I've been trying so hard to do to please everybody, and now I'm out of the moment.
Yeah.
Third.
Relying on my knowledge.
You question your ability the second you listen to other voices, and you don't listen to your knowledge. Fourth.
Connected to family.
Oh, is your family judge you? Yeah, good.
Biggest one.
Yeah, biggest one. That's where the external side comes in. She wants to be connected to family. Back to principle 3. We'll do anything to get our eyes in that. So she will sell herself short. She will downplay her success in front of her family just so that her family won't comment on it. Have you done that? Of course you have. All the time. That's 5.
Validated.
Same thing. You're looking for a validation outside yourself, not inside. So if they're not giving you the validation, they tear you down.
Needed.
Same thing.
Accepted.
Same thing. Last 3 the same. Okay. So you guys up here, I think you talked about the crabs in the bucket. Look at geese. Geese fly in a V formation because they can fly 76% further and less drag. When one goose goes down, 2 will always follow it if it's wounded or sick. Those 2 will stay with it till it gets better or dies. And then they will jump back up, find another formation, and fly in a V formation. And they will always honk. I live by a lake, so I hear them honk. I wake up at 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning honking. Every freaking day those geese go by. I'm not trying to be external here, but I'm telling you, those geese can be shot. And so, or I need to move one of the 2. I guess I should be internal on it. But they honk to encourage the one in front to keep going. And when that one gets tired, it goes to the back and another one takes the spot. So you can hang out with geese or you can hang out with crabs. Do you want to have crabs or do you want to have geese in your life? just saying. It's a choice you make.
I like all phrases.
So anytime we look to other people, places, or things, we are being external. So the very second you compare yourself, you're being external. How many of you, and we've all done this, this is human nature, we've all done it. You can be completely by yourself, comparing yourself to other people you know, and feel depressed within 5 minutes. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Or I am smarter than this person. Why are they getting that opportunity and I'm not? So if you're taking notes, write this down. Comparison is better than or worse than. So I'm at the backstage here waiting for Ron to finish. If I'm being external, I'm comparing myself. Am I better than Ron or am I worse than Ron? So in my mind, this is what it sounds like. Let's see if you can relate to this. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, I have written more books than Ron. I have done more speeches than Ron. I have done this than Ron. I'm comparing myself, what I can compare my superiority to what I project as inferiorities. Now let's reverse it. Same scenario, and I think I am less than Ron. I think, oh my gosh, his infomercial is more successful than mine is. He's got Mr. Universe, Mr. World, he's got all these titles that I don't have. I'm a high school dropout. What am I doing here? He's so much smarter. The crowd's loving him. The crowd wants to take pictures with him. And I start comparing myself, then I feel external. So you're either feeling you're better than somebody or worse than someone. Have you ever judged yourself like, oh, I'm just like them, I'm equal? Never. Like, I've never done that. You're like, my car's just like their car. We're equal. No, you don't do that. My car's got a dent, theirs doesn't, or they've got a leaf payment, no, mine's paid for. You start judging, you start comparing. Whenever we do that, it's a gas gauge. It goes to the empty, it goes to the left. We feel this anger, this frustration, this ego. Back to principle 3, we'll do anything to defend and support our eyes. We feel this, and that's where our emotions get crushed. But the reverse is true. When we are internal, for us, by us, then we feel confident, we feel strong, we feel hopeful. Matthew chapter 5, all the Beatitudes, all the incredible, optimistic, positive emotions all come from the inside out. So let's look at who's got a hobby, who's good at something that you know you're good at. Let's just pick any hobby. Fantastic. Dan, what's one thing you know you're good at?
Writing music.
You're good. How do you know you're good at writing music?
Because I like what I write.
Okay. Here's the funny thing. You guys laugh, but that makes him inevitably successful. Think about that. If he likes the music he writes, and he doesn't need anybody else to tell him it's good, how long will he keep writing music? Forever. You take Weird Al Yankovic. If he were to say that, you think that guy's an idiot. No one likes his music. You know that he's one of the top selling artists of all time? And he's just weird? Like he's a total hot mess? Weird Al is an absolute bizarre weirdo. But he's him. Like he's all him. Like he loves him. He's okay with him. Therefore, he's ridiculously successful. In fact, in an interview about 10 years ago, Madonna said, "You are nobody in this industry until Weird Al knocks you off." Like how crazy is that? She's the highest grossing musician of all time on concert sales. She's done $1.3 billion in concert ticket sales. That's enormous. That's an industry. And she said, "You're nobody in this game until Weird Al has copied you." When we're internal, we know we're okay. I can stand up here and say, I know I'm a hot mess because I know I am. I got a track record of a lifetime to prove it. And I'm okay with you guys knowing that. We're fine if we would just be who we are openly. You're everything you need to be if you would just be it openly. If you would just accept it openly. I don't know any perfect, well, I know one perfect man. But other than him, I don't know any other perfect man. Or woman for that matter. So if that's the case for all of us, let's quit faking it that we're all okay, because we're not. I like a dear client of mine, Christian Busek. He's got a couple 100 million views on YouTube. Fantastic guy. Called me up one day. He's like, I'm going into audition at ABC, CBS, and NBC for this new show. It's where they take all the great talent and they put them onto Saturday Night Live. This is a great launch he had about 2 years ago. And he has Tourette's, and he's afraid of it, and he's afraid that he's going to make a mistake on stage, and so he goes and he auditions. We talked about now how to be internal, how to center yourself, and how to get your eyes met. I told him this is where the whole hot mess thing comes from. I said, and he's as wide as he is tall. He's just a big ball. I mean, just big ball. And he's one of the funniest comedians. He's the next Chris Farley. And he said, Woody, he started telling all these problems he has. And I'm like, dude, you're a total hot mess. Like, you're really, clinically, you're a mess. And he started laughing, he started joking. I said, what would happen if you went in there and just were a hot mess? He said, can I do that? I'm like, you got nothing else to lose, man. I mean, seriously, the fact that you're there, you're calling you is amazing. So, yeah, just roll with that, see what happens. So they went into the audition, and they loved him. They said, you know what, though? Are you gay? No. Well, you're not black, right? No. Well, we can't hire you for a minority or someone who's got something different. He's like, I got Tourette's. He's like, you don't got Tourette's. He's sort of, I knew you mother effing. He just went off on him. And he just was his hot self, and it worked. I got a text from him yesterday. Let's line up the next week we're going to meet. I should read this email. It's amazing. I mean, he just sold the TV show to Fox. The Farley brothers are doing a movie with him now. All these things have happened in the last 2 years because he got the turnout. That's simple. That's simple. He was just a YouTube guy. You guys ever seen Fruit Ninja? That's him. And the second he knew who he was, the second he embraced that, it changed his life forever. So all of you can have the inevitable success when you create it from the inside out. You're in complete control. Nobody can make you feel inferior unless you let them, as Eleanor Roosevelt talks about. You have to give someone permission to make you feel small. You've got to give someone permission to make you feel that you're not successful. Either you are or you're not. It's that simple. Either you are good enough or you're not. There's no measurement that when I accomplish this, then I am a success. I've made and lost more fortunes than I can count. There is no title that you get when you get to that $1 million status. There's no title you get when you lose it all. It just comes and it goes and it ebbs and it flows. And that's just the way life is.
Are you suggesting that, this is what I'm hearing, you tell me if I'm right. I'm hearing you say that no matter what we have had in our lives going up to this point, no matter how negative it might have been,
No matter what we have felt in our lives, no matter how negative we've been in our lives to ourselves, what have you, that if we meet these eyes on a conscious basis, we will escape that and move on.
That's the gold star right there. So let's take Ron, for example. Okay, Colleen, get it over? Come on. When you look at your emotional feedback, you look at your past, yes, you had the external accolades, the awards, the certificates, the trophies. But when in your life did you feel successful? Was it when you were getting your eyes met for you by you? Or was it only when you were getting the trophies? Does that question make sense?
Say that one more time.
So we're looking at success, that feeling of success. So when it's been over 20 years since you competed, right?
Since 2008.
208. Okay, so it's been 8 years since you competed. Have you felt success in those last 8 years at some point?
Yes.
Okay, so we know it can't be tied to the trophies and the awards, correct? It has to be tied to something else. So when you feel successful, what is happening in your life?
What I'm feeling is the eyes are bringing
Exactly. Yeah. So you take someone who's had the worst of the worst, the abuse, the rejection from family. I mean, his story is so fascinating to me, just from a human standpoint. You take all the worst of the worst. Then you give them all the accolades. But there's always a time where you don't compete anymore. So then what else makes you feel successful? It has to be the eyes. So I had another friend of mine, she won a gold medal. And she won a silver medal in the Olympics, and then she won a gold. And she was so depressed after she won the gold because she didn't know what else to do with her life. So she actually called the president of the Olympic Committee and said, "You never prepared me for this. Like, you have just done such a disservice to all Olympians because we've done everything to win. The day after, I wanted to kill myself because I have nothing else to do." Did you ever feel that way?
it. Absolutely.
People who achieve at a high level feel that way after they've gotten it. Because unless they're getting their eyes met for them, by them, there's nothing else. Yes.
You see a lot of professional athletes where they end up going broke.
Oh, yeah. NBA is 63% and NFL is 75% of the threes of finally making percent. After they've made hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not that they're not surrounded by incredible businessmen and women who can influence them. It's because their eyes aren't getting met. They have nothing else to do, so they spend it unwisely, and they fail. So you look at your own life. Getting that Extreme Plus combo, or joining Renatus, or whatever it may be, there's no amount of success you're ever going to feel more than your eyes getting met. And here's the secret. Here is truly the aha, if you will, the take home. The more you get your eyes met for you, by you, the more financial success you have in your life. So, Rich, I'm going to have you talk about that, because I've seen you go from 20 grand a month to 100 grand a month. How did you do it?
When we went through that process, what we focus on is every single day getting our eyes met. And when you get your eyes met, something naturally happens. When we aren't getting our eyes met, are we happy?
No.
No. When we're getting our eyes met, are we happy?
Yep.
Yes. So when you focus on getting your eyes met, like attracts like. And we have to remember who it is that we are working with. How many people love their jobs? Very few people love what they do, right? So their jobs, the majority of the time, are kind of offending their life. And so when we're able to go and we're happy, they come down, they need us, we're happy, we're enjoying life, what do they want to do? Have our life. Because they see we're happy. They see, yes, even though, we have the stresses, we have everything, when we meet those eyes ourselves, things just happen. And it's really weird, but just like all of a sudden, this person, I'll give you an example this week. An individual I haven't talked to in 5 years called me up. He said, hey, right now I'm working on 18 fix and flips. I have all these people wanting help to go out and do it. I don't have the time to teach them. Can you help them? What do you think I said?
Yeah.
Yes, guess where he is right now? He is out in Ohio preparing the top wrestler in the state of Utah to go to the Olympics. Why? Because he's been there already. And he just gave me a call. He's like, I'm thinking about winning and competing. All these other people need help. Can you help me? I wasn't expecting that phone call, but because I'm in the right spot, I'm in the right place, my eyes are being met, what happens? Connections come in, relationships come back, and it goes from wanting or needing to have money coming in to I care about that person, I want to help them succeed. It goes back to the relationships. When you're internal and those relationships are there, life becomes so simple. Life becomes so easy. When we're external and comparing ourselves to everybody else, life sucks. It really, really does. That's because being internal, I was talking to Spencer earlier, it's how I went through 3 years living in my in-laws' basement apartment depressed every single day. Because I was able to be internal about my situation and who I was, not the external influence that I was living in at that time.
I know I'm not alone here in some of the things that I experienced in my life. Job overwhelming, long hours, long commute, no energy left in my life when I get home. And I look at this as great in theory, but how now do I take this theory and how do I apply it in the little scope of time where I can actually influence my life? I can't change that my boss is an idiot. It doesn't work. I can't change that that everybody across that university has great respect for me except the people that have influence on my pay. I can't change those things. But how do I take those little slices of time and make it so that I can have this life you're talking about?
Beautiful. What a great segue. We'll close on this.
It was say something. I was thinking that same thing. What I did is I spent the first 15 minutes of every day meeting my eyes. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. I meet my eyes every single morning before the kids wake up, before Amy wakes up. I'm meeting my eyes first thing. Yes, I lose 15 minutes less sleep. But by meeting those eyes, am I in a better mood all day?
Absolutely.
Yes. Does my life, does everything go better that day? More energy? Yes.
So you have to know how to get your eyes met for you, by you. So in our coaching system, what we have is we have a card system. I know a lot of you here have it. You've seen them around. I'll show you just real quickly. It goes like this. So here is the emotional fingerprint, all the colors of all the eyes there. On the back of them, have 10 things you can do for you, by you, to be internal. So it's the cheat sheet, if you will. It's the shortest distance to the target. Do one of those activities, whatever eye it is, you can get the results you want. But let me show you how to do it. If you don't have cards or if you want to learn how to do it anyway. So it works like this. It's called a reassociation. You're already an expert at it, you don't know it. So you're laying in bed, you hear a thud. If you're a grown man or a grown woman, you are scared to death. There's an intruder coming into the house. You muster up enough courage, you look out the window, and you see a dog or a raccoon going through your garbage can. Instantly, your mind relabels what that noise was. You go back to sleep like it's no big deal. That's called a reassociation. All marketing is a reassociation. When you want your fourth meal, you're going to Taco Bell. When you want it your way, you're going to McDonald's. When you want to do it just right, you're buying Nike. When you want to drive the ultimate driving machine, you're driving a BMW. That's all marketing is creating reassociations. The reason why, for those of you who are guests here, let's just be honest and transparent. The only reason, show of hands of those who are not part of Renatus, if I could. Okay, Josh, great. Okay, now do me a favor. Look at your eyes. The only reason you came today, or have even considered looking at Renatus, is because you believe that this might be an opportunity for those eyes to get met. So let's just be honest, transparent. If you would look at your emotional fingerprint and say yes or no. Yep. That's all anything is. All marketing is that. The only reason you fall in love is it meets your eyes. The only reason you get divorced is it offends your eyes. So here's where you can consciously live your life. For those of you who are considering this opportunity, look at it and say, okay, internally, if I were to get my eyes met for me, by me, in Renatus, could I have the success I see on this wall? The answer is yes. Because I have this belief that if one human being can do it, then anybody can do it. No one's special. If one human being can do it, then anybody can do it. So, yes, is it work? Absolutely. I don't know a business that's not working. But look at your emotional fingers and say, okay, how do I be internal with this? How do I get my eyes met in this company? Because having been broke and having been rich, real estate was the fastest way I've ever made money. The fastest. And they're not paying you to say that. Because statistically speaking, if you research anything economically, it's been proven time and time again that real estate is the safest and fastest way to generate revenue. Bar none. Plus you also have an asset. When you lose money, you can live in that asset. You lose money in the stock market, it's toast. If you don't know, go watch the movie The Big Short. One of the most inspirational movies, and if you want to watch it edited, go to vidangel.com and watch it edited. One of the best movies on the planet right now. Because it talks about 3 people in history who knew the market was going to crash in 2008. And they bet against it and walked away with billions because they were internal enough when everyone else was being external, saying, oh, it's safe. Housing market's never fallen. It's never fallen. No, don't do it. They were internal enough, went to Morgan Stanley, went to Lehman Brothers, and literally created financial products that did not exist just so they could bet against the market because they knew internally it was going to fail. And they walked away with billions. Housing's the same way. If you learn the education, if you learn how to get this met for you, by you, not have the fear, because the fear is on this side, the external side. Learn it, master it. You can have any amount of success you want, but no one's going to give it to you. Yes, you've got great educators here, you've got great people who've done fantastic successes, but at the end of the day, it's still you. You've got to make it happen for you, by you. Does that make sense? So, Doug, back to your question. So, you said a few things that alarmed me. When you said, I can't. That's that impossible, that you think someone owns you. You think that somebody in your department owns your income. That's an external belief. The internal belief is that you control your income by how much value you create in the marketplace. This is the truth about money. I have written 14 books on money. And I have an acronym for money. M is for mindset, O is for opportunity, N is for networking, E is for entrepreneurship, and Y is for being yourself, being internal. The only way you make money in this life is by creating value for somebody else. That's it. That is absolutely it. So if you're in a W-2 job and you're getting paid 40, 60, 80, 100 a year, that is because that job only produces that much value in the marketplace. That's it. It's not that you're not talented. It's not that you're not worth more. It's the job itself is not more valuable than that. That's why they'll take people who are 55 to 65, fire them, hire a 25 to 35-year-old kid to do the same job for a little less pay because they know it'll ramp up and still cap at the current pay you're making. You take a professional athlete, you take someone, Michael Jordan, or any athlete who's made hundreds of millions of dollars for an hour-long game. It's not that the game was valuable, it was the franchise was valuable. The TV rights were valuable. The number on the jersey was valuable. Do you know that last year Michael Jordan made over $100 million a year, and in his 13 years of playing basketball, collectively, he only made $97 million? He made more last year than he did as a professional athlete. Why? Because his brand at Nike did $3 billion. So his royalty was $100 million. They're taking that brand to $6 billion because they're going into women's departments now with Air Jordan. So that he's projected to make $200 million by the year 2020. He hasn't picked up a ball in how many years has it been since his life? 10 years, 10, 12 years? Money follows value. So how do you make yourself more valuable? Get internal. So yes, get your eyes met every single day. For those of you guys who want to do it, I asked Richard if I'd be able to do this. I'm going to sell the card system. Like, we only sell these in our coaching programs at $1,000, and my one-on-one's $10,000. So we don't sell these online, but I thought because you guys might want to take this home, use it in your life, the decks come with two. So one for you, one for a business partner. One for you, one for a spouse. DVD walks you through it. I'm also going to give you my newest book called BS and Other Advice About Money. BS stands for your belief system. I was 11 years old, lying through my teeth to my mother, following her from room to room. She got mad at me and she goes, "You are full of BS." I'm 11. I don't know what old acronyms. I said, "What's BS stand for?" I just saw her face go white, and I just, "It's your belief system. Now go to your room." So I thought, this one's dedicated to Mom. It's BS and Other Advice About Money. And it talks about the acronym of money: mindset, opportunities, never entrepreneurship you. So literally, if we were to sell that, that's $1,000 for our coaching program. But for you guys who want it, it's $20. There's no profit in that for me. I just want you guys to have this so that you can take it, so you can wake up, look at your eyes, flip the card over, get internal, solve that problem. Because if you do that, you'll wake up every day getting what you want. Because I'll tell you one thing, nobody's going to give it to you. You will spend your life like a greyhound on a racetrack. When Rich was talking about the movie I produced called Biology, we flew to Florida just to film this one shot of greyhounds on racetracks, because I think it's so symbolic of the human potential and human nature. So at the end of a track, you keep a long oval. The far left side of the track is where they keep the kennels. The bell goes off, the doors go up, and the mechanical rabbit shoots out. These greyhound dogs, what I didn't know is they're actually bred in the back kennels. They're born on this track. They chase that rabbit 4, 5, 6, 7 times a night. They know it, but they still inadvertently chase it externally every day. Imagine if you're at the track, and that greyhound said, "Nope, I'm not going to run today. I'm just going to stand out here in the middle, wait for that thing to go around, I'm going to grab it before everyone else does." That'd be conscious. Now, what if you got really internal? Say, "You know what, instead of chasing to the right, I'm just going to walk to the left and grab it before anyone else does." That's being internal. We're all chasing the same thing. We want love, we want acceptance, we want recognition, we want validation, we want importance, we want all these things. That's the human experience. But if we would just stop and say, "I've done this thing for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, 70 years. I'm just going to give it to myself now," you're going to feel full. And not only are you going to feel full, like Richard was saying, you're going to create massive value in the marketplace. And as you create massive value in the marketplace, people want to do business with you. I'll say that again. As you create massive value in the marketplace, people want to do business with you. And I'm going to share some with you, and I'm not saying it externally. I'm only sharing it as a point of reference. So Ron and I are going to start coaching together. Ron told you he's never hired a coach. Why would he hire me now after he's had insane successes in his life? What? Second, he's evolving enough now. He's looking outside of himself. Bob Schneider, the founder of this company, runs a very successful multi-million dollar company, has never hired a coach until me. Now, I'm not saying this externally. I'm saying this as a point. The more internal you become, the higher caliber person wants to play with you. So if you don't like this circle of influences you have, they're a reflection of who you're being. That might sound harsh, but it's true. If you do not like the circle of influences you currently have, it's a reflection of who you are being. I don't come from any special background. I got kicked out of 2 middle schools. I dropped out of high school at 16. I was a millionaire at 26 and broke at 27. I've made and lost more fortunes than I can count. I'm not special. But this day that I learned to read when I was 19 years old, I haven't stopped reading. So I constantly increased my value in the marketplace by my internal actions. No one's going to make you smart. No one's going to give you intelligence. No one's going to give you wisdom. You have to create that for yourself. As you do that, the world opens up to you. And they want to hear from you. They want to listen to you. They want to do business with you. That's your option. You have that. You just got to believe you can do it. And I know I can do it. You can do it. There's nothing secret about this. It's just a matter of getting down and doing it. So in closing, what questions do you have that I can help answer? Business, personal life, relationship, whatever you want. I'd be happy to answer before we leave this.
Could you go through personal,
and then relationships, and then how that affects your business?
Yes, absolutely. Personal always stems from fear. You're too afraid to go out in the marketplace. You're too afraid to talk to someone. You're too afraid to believe in yourself. You got your track record. You got your stories you've told yourself. It took me about 5 years to research the concept of fear. And I discovered there's 2 types of fear. You have self-preservation fear. Snakes, spiders, dark alleys at night, drowning. You're trying to preserve your body. The animal kingdom has that fear. Every animal has that fear. It's the fight or flight syndrome that you always hear about. So a gazelle being chased by a lion in the bushes of Africa feels fear. The same way you feel fear, that same lion was chasing you. That's not the fear that holds you back, believe it or not. You're not afraid to go out and talk to someone because you're afraid they're going to kill you. That's not what they like. No, they know, I can't go market today because that guy's got a machine gun. That just doesn't go through your mind. But it's the other fear, and this is the fear that I learned is stopping every one of us. It's the acronym of fear, which I'm sure you've heard. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. Or one of my favorite ones, forget everything and run. You forget everything you know, all the inevitability of success, you forget everything you know, and you go back to impossible, it can't be done. That fear is tied 100% to your emotional fear. So think of, if one of you will think of a fear you have, not snakes, spiders, and dark alleys. What is a fear you have in business? Raise your hand, I'll show you how to get through it. Yes, Christian, is it Christian?
Yeah, Christian.
Yeah. So what's one of your fears in business?
In business, I come from a background where my family has been terrible with money, and I know that I inherit a lot of traits that my father and specific people have that I don't want to carry that handle in the business. Maybe this is the unknown as well. You know, I'm not coming from a background of privilege where I know that these things are for sure going to work.
Gotcha, wonderful. So I'll just give you a quick secret. Your parents screwed you over. Every one of you, they messed you up. Here's the benefit to society, here's the comic laugh in the universe. You're doing it to your kids. Okay? I'm messing my kids up, it's just how it works. My mom gave me some of the best advice I've ever heard from anyone. She said, at some point in your life, you've got to accept your childhood for what it was and make your adulthood what it needs to be. You've got to accept your childhood for what it was and make your adulthood what it needs to be. That's only on you. So let's go to your eyes, if you will. Read off your 7 eyes. So Christian's comment was, he comes from a generational of people who aren't good with money, so he has this fear that maybe he's not privileged enough to make money work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so read off your first one.
It's not very shallow.
No, it's not though. It's not.
No, I mean my eyes.
Go for it.
Appearance.
Okay, so let me role play here with you. If you make money and you lose it, is that going to affect your appearance when you look to other people, in your opinion?
No.
Okay, next one.
Respect.
So, if you feel like you aren't good with money, do you feel like people will disrespect you?
Yes.
Okay, next one.
Knowledge.
So you don't have the knowledge you need to be good with money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Creativity.
So do you not feel creative enough to find the information to hold on to your money?
A little bit. Some of it plays into what I do for work is like creativity. I act, so I feel like that in and of itself financially is something that is, you know.
So you feel that since you picked a profession that is a creative profession, there's not consistent money in there that you might not make money you need to make. Okay, perfect.
Well, I feel like I will, but I feel like maybe others feel like that it's not realistic, you know.
Okay. So you have the dream and other people feel like it's a pie in the sky dream. Got it.
Achieving life's purpose kind of goes along with creativity.
Yep. If you don't achieve it, then you didn't achieve your life's purpose. Got it.
Perform.
Same. Yep.
And
Okay. So if you look at his eyes, the fear, and I'll remind you, the fear is the potential event, so a future event, not from the moment, a future event of his eyes not getting met. So when we come back to this, I'll explain it a different way. Let's say you're up at Timpanogos, you're hiking around the corner, sheer cliff, 100 foot down, 100-foot wall to your left. You go around a corner, poisonous rattlesnake's there, rattle's going crazy, fangs are out. What are you fearful he's going to do? Bite you. You take a step back, bam! Bites you the ankle. Now what are you afraid of? Dying. Can't get off the mountain fast enough. Here was my breakthrough. Fear cannot be felt in the moment. Fear is always a potential event. You can feel the effects of fear in the moment, so the blood boiling, the sweats, the can't breathe, can't get oxygen, but it's not the actual fear. It's always if something happens. After the snake bites you, you can care less how many more times he bites you. Yeah, it might hurt, but you're fearful, you're not going to get off the mountain in time. So the fear you feel about acting or producing or being in that realm is a potential event. It's not in the moment. So the way you can dissolve any fear is go to the moment saying, what is real right now? So the way you stop fear is always in the future. It's always something else. What happens if I'm not good enough? If people find out I'm a failure, if people find out I stutter, if people find out I'm fat, skinny, short, tall, bald, whatever it is, whatever fear that is, whatever fear they say no to me, it's always a future moment. It's not right now. If someone says no to you, you're no longer fearful of them saying no to you. You're fearful of the next person saying no to you. Right? They already said no, you don't care. Here's a funny thing from Jack Canfield's book, Success Principles. He talks about fear, and he talks about rejection, that it does not exist. If I apply to Harvard, and Harvard says no, I'm not out anything. I'm currently not going to Harvard. So if they say no, I haven't lost anything. So this whole concept of rejection is tied to that emotional anchor of your emotional fingerprint. But it's not real. It does not exist. If I ask you for $1 million, Josh, and you say no, am I out $1 million? No. I didn't get it. I didn't have it before. You didn't give it to me. I still don't have it now. Everything's the same. But in our emotions, we project as like, oh, my acceptance I, my rejection, or my control I, my appearance I, all these things are being offended because I've broadcast on what he's going to say. But if internally I say, for me, by me, I am winning because I'm living my life I want to. I am being created. I am achieving my life's purpose. I am performing. I am reaching my goals. Then you have everything you need. And as you create that value, the rest will stand up and notice you. And that fear dissipates and goes away. Make sense?
Yeah. One other thing,
Yeah.
going off of that, how would you talk about, and maybe this is just tied in like the subtext of that with procrastination. Do you feel that procrastinating about these things is just because you still have that fear that you need to do it?
Exactly. It's external. You're worried what someone else is going to say or do, so you don't do what you really want to do. If you've ever studied any lives of actors, if you go on and watch their interviews, not one of them said it was easy. Not like one of them said, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg showed up at my door because he saw a picture of my yearbook and asked me to be the next superstar. Never happened. Every one of them paid a price. Same with success. Everyone had to pay a price. You can have anything you want in this life if you're willing to pay the price for it. You have to get out of your own way. You have to remove everyone else's conversation in your head out of the way. Then you become successful. Because success is in the moment. It is not a future event. So take Tiger Woods, for example. And I believe, if I remember correctly, it would have been November of 2011. I was writing my 12th book called Emotional Fingerprint. I wrote a whole chapter about Tiger Woods, how internal he was, how he gave back to the community, and how fantastic he was with the African American community, what he's done for golf, and this whole thing. And at 2 a.m., he knocks over his neighbor's tree in the fire hydrant because he's got a sex addiction and he's cheating on his wife. He's got all these horrible external things in his life that he can no longer hide from. And I had to rewrite the chapter. Because that would have been a bad thing. So now I pretty much want to write about dead people. So they can't screw it up. They can't make sure in heaven, I hope. So when I realized that, you can hide from everyone as much as you want. You can put up this facade as much as you want. But at some point in time, that external beast will eat you alive. So the more internal you get, so if you were to ask, is Tiger Woods a success today? Most of you would say no. He's lost his family, his kids, he's lost almost 8% of all his endorsements. So it's never a future event of success. Either you are successful by the way you act, or you're not. There's no trophy in the future that says, oh, boom, now you're a success. It does not happen. So 3 days ago, I was depressed, and I thought, I like to do mind hacks on myself all the time. So I'm my own guinea pig, and I woke up and I thought, okay, I don't want to get out of bed today. What would a successful person do? And I thought, okay, a successful person would get up and go exercise, eat a great breakfast, take the kids and go play. So that's what I did. And then every day since then, I ask that same question when I wake up. What would a successful person do? So this morning, I took my little 6-year-old, my wife, we went swimming in the morning, went and cleaned our church, and then I came here to speak. I could have slept in and say, you know what, I'm too busy, I'm too important to go take my daughter to school because I got to work today, I'm too important to volunteer to clean my church. Or I could say, what would a successful person do? They'd show up differently. So you can ask yourself the same question. What would an internal person do? Another thing, when I used to feel very stupid because I had a track record of GPA to prove that I was stupid and teachers to prove it, I read this quote about this inventor. In fact, he's the guy who invented the magnetic strip on the back of the credit card. He has this mind hack that he'll ask himself, if I were the smartest person in the world, how would I solve this problem? So that's how he invented the magnet strip on the back of your credit card. So every time I get stuck, I ask myself, if I were the smartest person in the world, how would I solve this problem? You know what's cool? Your brain travels at 268 miles per hour. Thought does, in your brain. Neuron to neurons, 268 miles per hour. You've got a Bugatti Veyron in your brain going 1 inch. It's like lightning speed. So your brain can solve any problem it wants to if you just give it permission to. But you've got to kick out all the voices you've heard your entire life. Say, no, I'm cool with me. Like, I'm okay being a hot mess. I'm totally fine with it. Now, if I were the smartest person in the world, what would I do? I did that when I was 30 years old. I asked myself that question. If you were the smartest person in the world, what would you do? I should write a book. Since then, I've written 14. I've got 3 more in the process. I've got 3 movies done. I've got 3 infomercials done. United Nations, everything that Richard was saying. Once again, I don't say that to impress you. I say that to impress upon you the reality that we're just human beings. We're just having a normal experience. What experience do you want to have? There's nothing special about anybody. It boils down to what experience do you want to have when you are on your deathbed? What do you want to look back on your life and say you accomplished? That to me is success, not the bank accounts. It's that, check, I did this, check it. The other day I thought, I've never had Tabasco and ice cream. I want to be able to say, I've had Tabasco and ice cream. So I grabbed my boys over, I got it's on my day, guys, you got to do it with me. And they're like, all right, Dad, Tabasco and ice cream, fantastic. Unbelievable, you have to try it. Insane sensation. Because you got this hot thing burning in your mouth, and you got this cold vanilla ice cream. I couldn't do more than 1 scoop, but that 1 scoop, it was pretty cool. So if you haven't done that one, do that one. Great question. Let's flip to relationships. So, any other questions there, Christian? Good? Okay. On relationships, we have something called conflicting eyes. There are days I hate my wife. There are days I want to kick my kid through a window. Not because they've done anything wrong. That's the key here. Not because they've done anything wrong, solely because my eyes have been offended. So my wife is truly genius. She's brilliant. She's come up with half the stuff we've talked about. And, okay, maybe 90%. We'll just give her credit. So, one day we were in this fight, and it was over a book I hated and she liked it, so we were fighting over it. You know, if you've ever been married longer than a month, you have every reason to be divorced. And so you have this, like, you fight over the stupidest things. Like, you can number them. Okay, here's fight 27, here's fight 56. You have them over and over again. Solely because they defend your eyes. That's it. That's the reason why you're doing it. So we're having this fun fight, and she said, hold on. What eyes are being offended right now? I thought, okay, I'll play this game with you. I pulled out my cards and I looked at them and said, these 4 are being offended right now. And I asked her, okay, what eyes are you defending right now? She said, these 3. And instantly I realized that's how you can solve any argument in less than 5 minutes. Because you look at any relationship manual, you look at any personal development product, and it's like a tree. They like to color the branches, trim the tree, put some fertilizer on it, but they never go to the root. You have 7 roots that feed your tree as well as your spouse's or your friends or your lover's tree. You feed those 7 eyes, those 7 roots, they'll change your life. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Since that moment, I have not argued with my wife longer than 5 minutes in the last 7 years. Literally. Now, the first 10 years of our marriage, we were both on antidepressants, we're both seeing the family therapist, and it was a living hell. That was my perspective. She has a different one, but that was my perspective. As soon as we both knew each other's emotional fingerprint, it's very easy. So if I want to change her life, all I have to do is go over and say, babe, how can I rock your world tonight? What do you need? What eyes do you need to get met? And how can I support you to do that? Now, that only happens if I've got internal first. So if I'm external and I'm beat up and I'm worn down, I can't bring that into the relationship. Like Richard's saying, take 15 minutes, go for a walk, clear your head, then get internal, get centered. Now bring that into the conversation. Doug.
Quick question. So when you do just what you said,
yeah,
you're now going to satisfy somebody else's eyes consciously. What happens to your eyes in the process?
0, nothing. I'm neutral. I'm happy. I need nothing from her. So think of it as a lighthouse. We've all heard that story of the battleship coming into Maine, and the battleship says, you know, move 10 degrees to the west, light comes back into 10 degrees to the east, they go back and forth. One screams, hey, I'm a battleship. The other one says, I'm a lighthouse. That's it. If you're a lighthouse, if you're internal, if you're completely at peace with who you are and what you have, you can freely give. So many of us, I tell, doing the right thing for the wrong reason, especially in very Christian-based communities. People volunteer and they serve and they give and they wear themselves out. That's doing the right thing, but you're doing it for the wrong reason. Because you're doing it for that external validation, that acceptance, that recognition, getting your eyes met. So you have no energy to do it for the right reason. So give anonymously, or if it's obviously your spouse, give it anonymously, but the people you love, you care about, give to them freely when you're ready. Is it easy here? Okay. So let me wrap it up on business really, really fast. When it comes to business, if you keep a scorecard, you will lose. Because the game is not designed to be won that way. So you think about the game of business. It is not who finishes with the most toys wins. That's not how games play. But we play it that way because that's how it's advertised to us on TV and movies and films and rock stars and sports and athletes and things. Whoever you help the most, whoever you create the most value for in business is how you win. If I were completely broke, and I have been many times, the only thing I would ask for is a key relationship. I don't need a check, because the check is going to get spent. I need information, and I need a relationship. A dear friend of mine, client, Garrett Gunderson, who spoke for us before, has this great equation. NC plus RC equals FC. Mental capital, so it's the missing information you have in your life, things you need to know, plus RC, relationship capital, equals financial capital. You want to make more money? Find more mental capital, find your relationship capital, and you will absolutely make more financial capital. So in that closing, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. I'll stay around during lunch and answer any questions. If you guys want to get the card system, the book, I'll be happy. I only have 20 of them. I didn't know we had 4 people here, so I'm here to help. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.